ABC General Hospital spoilers reveal that under the bright but deceptive lights of Port Charles, a shocking upheaval has rippled through the foundation of General Hospital, not within the confines of the fictional hospital itself, but in the very real, behind-the-scenes world that fuels its drama. In one of the most controversial and chaotic production moves in recent daytime television history, 3 prominent female cast members have reportedly been fired from General Hospital, triggering not only outrage among fans but setting the stage for one of the most radical recalibrations of the show's storyline in years. The abrupt dismissal of these women has sent a chilling message through the halls of daytime drama. A new regime of narrative control has arrived, and it doesn't play by the old rules. At the surface, these firings might seem like routine casting decisions, but when examined through the lens of the show's recent themes and creative direction, it becomes increasingly clear that this decision represents a larger, more dangerous kind of editorial control, one rooted in systemic power plays, covert agendas, and a willingness to detonate long-standing fan relationships in the pursuit of shock value and structural realignment. The ousting of these actresses is more than just a staffing update, it is a form of narrative domination, an iron-fisted recalibration of the show's emotional ecosystem, and perhaps even a coded message to the remaining cast and crew: adapt, obey, or be erased. The first to fall was a beloved veteran character whose departure was cloaked in vague statements about creative redirection. Fans quickly noted the absence of any real farewell arc, any satisfying emotional payoff for years of dedicated character building. One week, she was battling for custody, confronting betrayal, and anchoring her family through chaos. The next, she simply vanished, no dramatic death, no moving goodbye, just a ghostly absence that the show tried to gloss over with recycled dialogue and off-screen explanations. It felt less like a send-off and more like an erasure, as though her very legacy was an inconvenience to be quietly scrubbed away. The second firing hit even harder, not because the character was more prominent, but because of the symbolic weight she carried. Her arc had been carefully constructed over the past 2 years, slowly transforming her from a side character to a central emotional axis. She embodied recovery, redemption, and the complexities of mental health in a way that resonated with viewers deeply. And yet, she too was dismissed with little more than a cryptic public statement. Rumors swirled that creative disagreements with new producers had soured her fate, while others suggested her exit was pre-planned to make room for new blood. But what new blood could replace the emotional gravity she brought to every scene? Who could fill the void left behind when authenticity is traded for spectacle? The third dismissal ignited an outright firestorm online, not merely because of who was fired, but how it happened. In the middle of an ongoing, high-stakes arc involving criminal conspiracy, forbidden romance, and moral implosion, her character was suddenly written into a coma, and then off the show entirely. Social media exploded with outrage. Fans demanded answers, hashtags trended overnight, and the show's social media team scrambled to contain the backlash. The actress herself, blindsided, released a carefully worded statement about creative differences, but her silence on key points only deepened the sense of betrayal. With these 3 departures, GH has crossed a line, from calculated drama into outright chaos. Behind the scenes, whispers suggest this wasn't merely a casting shuffle, but a calculated purge, a rewriting of the show's power structure. Some insiders point to a shadowy adjustment team installed by network executives, designed to reshape General Hospital into a leaner, meaner storytelling machine. Their aim? Fewer sentimental arcs, more high-impact plots. The result? The erasure of female characters who provided balance, heart, and psychological depth to the show's sometimes over-the-top pacing. What replaces them remains to be seen, but the silence that follows their exit has been deafening. This massive disruption has triggered a domino effect across multiple storylines. Long-running arcs were chopped mid-sentence. Emotional payoffs were denied. Characters who once revolved around these women now drift like satellites without a sun. The emotional gravity that once grounded GH's most powerful storylines has been replaced by manufactured friction and sudden pivots. Relationships built over years are unraveling in days. Feuds that simmered are now boiling over without context. And worst of all, fans feel it. They feel the loss. They feel the disconnect. And many of them are beginning to question the integrity of the show itself. But the ramifications of these firings go even deeper. They symbolize a kind of creative autocracy taking root at the heart of General Hospital. By removing three strong, complex women, each representing different generations and emotional stakes, the show has signaled a disturbing shift toward volatility as currency. Stability is out. Continuity is optional. Emotional authenticity is a luxury the show no longer seems willing to afford. In its place comes the rise of shock logic, plot twists not grounded in character history or emotional truth, but in the cold calculation of viral moments, controversy, and forced evolution. This is one of the wildest recalibrations General Hospital has undertaken in years, and it might also be one of the most dangerous. The message being sent is unmistakable. In this new era, no character is safe, no relationship sacred, and no performer immune to executive whim. That isn't merely a storytelling decision, it's an ideological one. It asserts control not only over the fictional universe of Port Charles but over the expectations, loyalties, and emotional investments of the audience. The show has, in essence, weaponized unpredictability. And while that might produce short-term engagement, it risks long-term collapse. And yet, amid the chaos, there is an undeniable electricity in the air. The vacuum left behind by these three women creates space, however unwillingly, for new alliances, unforeseen betrayals, and possibly even radical reinventions. Perhaps that's the sinister genius of it all. In breaking apart the old structure so violently, the show has opened a portal for entirely new forces to emerge. Viewers, no matter how heartbroken, remain riveted, unable to look away. Every new episode feels like it might detonate another bomb. Every scene could reveal the next pawn to be sacrificed. And every silence, every character who looks into the distance without speaking, feels like a moment charged with buried betrayal. What remains to be seen is whether GH can harness this volatility into something meaningful, or whether it will collapse under the weight of its own convulsions. Because make no mistake, this isn't just a story about three actresses losing their jobs. It's a story about how power reconfigures itself in times of crisis. It's a story about how narrative control can mimic tyranny. It's a story about how, even in fiction, the erasure of women's voices has consequences that bleed into every corner of the screen. The viewers know. The characters feel it. And the writing is trembling under the pressure. So what now? Will Port Charles become a battlefield for new contenders, clawing for the spotlight vacated by these sudden exits? Will the show course correct with an emotional arc that pays tribute to the fallen characters, or will it double down on disruption? Will fans be placated with surface-level drama? Or will they demand a return to character-driven storytelling that respects the audience's investment? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. The firings of these three actresses are not just an HR move. They are the opening shot in a new era of GH, a darker, riskier, and far more unpredictable world. Where narrative power is exercised with surgical cruelty, and every moment could be the last for the characters we hold most dear. The corridors of General Hospital echo with a silence more deafening than any siren. A storm is unraveling within the institution, not of blood or bullets, but of secrets, long buried. Quietly festering, and now erupting in a torrent of disgrace. At the center of this chaos are three women once revered, now condemned, Portia, Willow, and Stella. Their names are spoken in hushed, urgent tones behind closed doors, their faces avoided in the hallways as the weight of their transgressions finally crashes into the light. It began with murmurs, strange shifts in behavior. Unexplained absences, unsettling whispers about tampered charts and backroom deals. But the truth has refused to stay buried. Now, as the administrative board prepares to take unprecedented action, the hospital braces itself for a reckoning unlike anything it has faced before. Portia's fall is perhaps the most jarring. Once seen as a beacon of intellect and leadership, She now stands accused of manipulating medical data and interfering with patient outcomes for reasons only she knows. She thought she could outwit the system. Could rewrite reality through precision and silence. But the data trail remained, and the deeper investigators dig, the clearer it becomes that Portia was not simply trying to protect someone, she was trying to control everything. The drug protocol alterations, the rerouted lab results. The sealed records, each piece of the puzzle fits too perfectly into a portrait of calculated deception. What began as a silent compliance to Drew's coercion mutated into something far darker. A game of survival played with lives and legacies. And now, as the inquiry deepens, Portia's license, career, and reputation teeter on the edge of permanent destruction. Then there's Willow, whose decline has unfolded with tragic inevitability. Once the embodiment of gentle resolve, Willow's recent choices have veered into dangerous territory, straddling the line between grief-stricken confusion and criminal recklessness. Her fixation on Daisy's disappearance, her strange behavior at the Quartermain estate, and her erratic presence at the hospital have drawn the attention of more than just concerned co-workers. What began as maternal desperation has spiraled into emotional collapse. Security footage, testimony, and incident reports are now painting a portrait of a woman unraveling, someone no longer capable of making sound judgments in the high-stakes world of medicine. Nurses whisper about charts left unsigned, medication schedules missed, and patients left waiting as Willow stared, absent and hollow-eyed, into nothingness. And when investigators began cross-referencing her access logs, a pattern emerged, one that suggests Willow may have been involved in manipulating Daisy's care in ways no one yet fully understands. Her breakdown is no longer just personal, it's institutional, and its consequences may shatter not only her life, but the safety net of everyone who trusted her. But perhaps the most quietly devastating of all is Stella. Her betrayal isn't loud or violent, it's surgical. It's precise. It's cloaked in kindness and done with steady hands. Stella's offense lies not in negligence, but in manipulation. In the name of protecting Martin, she accessed and altered internal insurance systems, reinstating benefits through unauthorized means. She tells herself it was compassion. She tells herself it was harmless. But the truth is that the foundation of General Hospital cannot survive when even its most seasoned professionals bend the rules under pressure. Her admission, though quiet, ripples like thunder across the administrative ranks. This wasn't a mistake, it was a deliberate act. And now, as the hospital grapples with mounting scrutiny from oversight agencies, Stella stands as a painful symbol of how even the most trusted can fall prey to moral compromise. Together, the collapse of Portia, Willow, and Stella is not just a personnel issue, it is an institutional trauma. Their sins are different in shape and size, but all share one thread. The belief that they could break the rules without consequences, that their intentions, whether noble or selfish, could shield them from accountability. But General Hospital is no longer a place where secrets go unnoticed. The current administration, already shaken by previous scandals, has been forced to act with unprecedented force. And so, as news leaks of their pending terminations, the atmosphere shifts. Not in rage, but in sorrow. Not in fury, but in fear. Because their removal isn't just about guilt, it's about precedent. It's about proving that no one is above the code of healing, no matter how beloved, no matter how long they've served. The fallout is immediate and catastrophic. Departments scramble to fill gaps left by their absences. Patients demand answers. Legal teams converge in backrooms, preparing for what could become a full-blown malpractice scandal. The press circles like vultures, sensing blood. And within the hospital's once reliable walls, paranoia blooms. Who else knew? Who else helped? Who else is next? It's not just about the three women anymore, it's about the entire ecosystem of trust and silence that allowed these actions to fester. Fans of the show watch with bated breath, some outraged, some heartbroken, others riveted by the sheer audacity of the storyline. It's a bold choice by the writers, a dangerous one, but undeniably effective. What was once a slow-burn soap opera now feels like a political thriller, a psychological drama where loyalty is fluid and truth is deadly. These firings, fictional as they may be within the show's universe, mirror the cold mechanics of power and the cost of error in the real world. And as Portia packs her office in bitter silence, as Willow sits under psychiatric evaluation, and as Stella turns in her ID badge with trembling hands, the message becomes clear: this is no longer the hospital they thought they controlled. It never was. This is a new general hospital now, ruthless, self-correcting, and unapologetically brutal. It rewards truth only when it's spoken first and punishes silence as harshly as sin. And as the corridors whisper with stories of betrayal, a new kind of fear spreads. A narrative war has begun. The past is being erased, characters rewritten, loyalties redefined. No one is safe. Especially those who once thought they were untouchable. And as the screen fades to black at the end of each episode, one question remains in every viewer's mind: who will fall next? Because in a world where Portia, Willow, and Stella can be erased, anything is possible, and nothing, absolutely nothing, can be trusted again. General Hospital is teetering on the edge of a narrative earthquake, and just when the dust begins to settle from the explosive firings of Portia, Willow, and Stella, a new tremor begins to rumble across Port Charles, this time, not in the form of departures, but resurrections. In a twist no one saw coming. The soap world is ablaze with confirmation that three long-presumed dead or missing characters, Morgan, Franco, and Nellie, are all on the verge of making dramatic returns. And with their shocking comebacks comes a tidal wave of emotional chaos, buried truths, and psychological torment that threatens to rewrite everything viewers thought they knew about life, death, and loyalty within GH. This isn't just a new chapter. This is a narrative rebirth built on madness, memory, and mayhem. Morgan's name has long haunted the Corinthos family like a ghost that refuses to be forgotten. For years, Sonny and Carly tried to move forward, tried to heal, to raise their remaining children, to focus on survival, but Morgan's absence was always there, a permanent shadow in their eyes, an unfinished sentence in every conversation about the past. Now, after years of uncertainty and speculation, Morgan is returning, not as a memory, not as a hallucination, but as flesh and blood. But he's not the same boy who disappeared. Whispers suggest Morgan was never truly dead, that his death was orchestrated in a larger plot tied to WSB corruption, identity manipulation, and psychological reprogramming. His return isn't joyful, it's jarring. He's different. Unpredictable. Dangerous. The question that now haunts Carly and Sonny isn't how he survived, but what he became. Morgan's comeback threatens to unearth every sin his parents buried, and worse, it might unravel Sonny's already precarious control over his empire, his family, and himself. But Morgan isn't returning alone. Franco, long thought gone after a tragic brain hemorrhage and a tearful farewell to Elizabeth, is also poised for a resurrection. His death had been mourned. His redemption arc completed, his story closed, or so it seemed. But now, Franco's name is once again being whispered through the halls of GH. Did he survive? Was he hidden? Or was something even more sinister at play? Rumors swirl that his memories may have been tampered with, that he may return not as the gentle, reformed man Liz once loved, but as a fractured soul, torn between the dark legacy of his past and the manipulated present forced upon him. His re-entry into Port Charles will reignite old wounds, destabilize Elizabeth's fragile world, and force characters like Scott, Ava, and even Jason to confront the parts of themselves they've tried to forget. Franco is not just returning to pick up where he left off, he's returning to redefine who he is, and maybe destroy who he once was. And then there's Nellie. The name alone sends a chill through Port Charles. Her death was supposed to be the end of the nightmare, the conclusion to a saga of manipulation, cruelty, and chaos. But Nellie's story never felt truly finished, and now, it's confirmed that she, too, is making her way back. How? Why? Where has she been? No one knows for sure. What's certain is that Nellie is not the kind of character who returns for redemption. She returns for revenge. For power. For destruction. Her obsession with Wiley, her twisted rivalry with Willow, and her long-standing vendetta against Carly and Michael are all unresolved, and this time, she won't be content to play games from the shadows. With Nellie's re-emergence, Port Charles is about to be plunged back into a world of false identities, stolen children, forged DNA tests, and manipulations so layered they could shake the very fabric of the Corinthos family once more. And with Willow already unraveling, Nellie's presence could be the final blow that pushes her over the edge, unless, of course, Willow's breakdown is exactly what Nellie planned from the beginning. The return of Morgan, Franco. And Nellie isn't just shocking, it's deeply unsettling. It feels less like fan service and more like a calculated narrative blitzkrieg designed to destabilize every corner of the GH universe. These aren't just characters, they're ghosts. Ghosts of old crimes. Ghosts of unfinished business. Ghosts that demand resolution through violence, confession, or collapse. Their reappearance signals a shift in tone for General Hospital, away from reconciliation, and toward reckoning. This is no longer a hospital of healing, it's becoming a battlefield of haunted hearts, resurrected lies, and relentless vengeance. As these three wild cards re-enter the canvas, everything becomes uncertain. Alliances will shift. Old lovers will question their loyalty. Parents will doubt their children. The very definition of life and death will blur. Is this the beginning of a supernatural arc? A psychological experiment? A government conspiracy? Or is it simply the writers throwing caution to the wind and embracing chaos as their muse? Regardless, one thing is clear, the re-emergence of Morgan, Franco, and Nellie marks a seismic shift in the identity of General Hospital. This is not just a return to the past, it's an invasion. Their comebacks don't bring closure. They bring torment. They don't answer questions. They ignite them. And as the residents of Port Charles brace for the storm, the audience knows that nothing, absolutely nothing, is safe anymore. In a world where the dead rise, the guilty walk free, and the innocent are devoured, every episode becomes a ticking bomb. This is not just a soap opera anymore. This is General Hospital's descent into obsession, resurrection, and psychological warfare.